All right, we are going live. Hi everyone, I'm immigration attorney John Khosravi. Thank you for tuning in to the JQK Law Firm's TikTok page, YouTube page, Facebook page, Instagram, all the different things we put out there here to talk about immigration law. Q&A about U.S. immigration, which is what I focus on. I'm an immigration lawyer headquartered in Los Angeles, California, and I specialize in helping families and investors and people starting businesses in the U.S. to come here, but also a professor of immigration law. I teach at law schools and I train lawyers, so I like to just talk about immigration all day, every day. That's just kind of my thing. So I created this avenue here, 5 p.m. Pacific, Monday through Friday, until people are coming and it's so fun. We're going to continue doing this. Questions are posted on TikTok, the app TikTok. Immigration Lawyer John is where you can reach that. Immigration Lawyer John. John is John. Also on my Facebook page for JQK Law Firm. That's my law firm. I am the owner of that law firm, John Khosravi. And then the video is then edited, chopped up, and placed all over the place so you could get recaps and short snippets of it so you can have a better understanding of what's going on with the law. Now, this is all educational only. Each case is different, so consult with an immigration, review your specific case. Sometimes I'm talking here, I might miss a thing here or two, so it's not something that you should rely upon and go build your case on, but it helps guide you as to what direction things are going, gives you somewhat of a separate opinion, new opinion, but it doesn't replace having someone sit there, look over your paperwork, talk with you about your case history to go where you need to go and do what you need to do. But I'm here and I really enjoy supporting the community. I know law is an expensive thing. Hiring a lawyer is very expensive. It's not easy to get the answers. Now on the internet, you can find every type of answers. For every question, there's a yes or no, maybe. And so hopefully you get my opinion on it to the extent possible. I could go into it, but many times you can't go into too much detail because I don't have enough information, so it'll be speculating, and that's the last thing I want to do. Now, while people are trickling in, I want to thank Annie, Fedi, Sangi, Elaine, Mehra for coming on board and watching. Feel free to jump in with questions or let me know where you're from, what city, what country. Just let me know what's up. I'll be happy to talk with you. But particularly immigration is the best thing to talk about because that's what I know. But while people are trickling in, I wanted to discuss one topic. A person contacted me just now, and they had filed for citizenship on their own, filed the case, went to their interview. At the interview, they requested more documents, and this person didn't really follow the exact template of the documents they wanted, and now they got a denial notice. They want to know what to do. And the reason for the denial was this person had not paid all their taxes historically, their U.S. taxes, and that's a problem for U.S. citizenship. It's considered bad moral character if you haven't paid your taxes. And so what you have to do is, if you can't afford to pay your back taxes, you have to negotiate with the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, who's in charge of collecting the taxes, and have some sort of plan that's written out of how you're going to repay it, have proof that you have begun repayment, and have tax transcripts, not tax returns, so tax transcripts. These are a separate thing. These are what you get from the IRS that breaks down the taxes you filed and is proof that they're actually filed. Because historically, we would just submit for immigration purposes a copy of our tax return. But anyone could fill out a tax return, not send it to the IRS, but then give it to the immigration department and say, oh, look, here's my taxes, but they've never been filed. And the immigration system doesn't really communicate, talk with the IRS to check on that. So they're cleaning that up now. They're moving towards getting tax transcripts. This is something you get directly from the IRS. If you go to the IRS website, you could download a copy of your tax transcripts. Many times the system does not work, so you have to order it by mail. Right now, due to the coronavirus, the mail has been shut down. Mail is not happening. So there's huge delays, huge problems in getting it. That's beside the point. It's not a focus here. This gentleman didn't do that, didn't answer the RFE, the request for evidence, properly. So his case got denied. He's frustrated. He's angry. He thinks they're abusing their discretion, when in fact he just didn't follow their discretion. Follow their recommendation, their request. And so that's that. He should have just, followed the instructions. And by not doing that or not talking with a lawyer to help him out exactly how to do that, he got into the problems. There's some things to be mindful of in the citizenship process. Always give them what they ask for. They'll just make things up that you want to do. There's a specific way to do things here. Now, Manda Lubana says, what about I-360? Well, what about it? And what about the weather today? What about baseball today? You got to ask a specific question, brother. So let me know if you have a specific question. I-360s are not something I focus on, but to the extent possible, we could talk about it. So that was something I just saw right now that was problematic. Another thing that happens is I had another person who just got a notice. They did a marriage case. So Para says, can I get status if I've been in a mental hospital? Well, that's a big question. So by status, I'm assuming you mean a green card. And there is an admissibility statute. So the U.S. has certain rules and regulations of who can and can't come to the United States, either enter or get a green card. And the rule about mental health came about 120 years ago. One of the first immigration laws they had was for people that have mental health issues. And the way it is right now under INA 212A2B or A2 or something like that, it says that if you have a mental condition and there's a threat of harm, that could be something that could prevent you from getting status or immigration status, lawful permanent residency. So you have to show that their mental health condition has gotten better, doesn't exist anymore, or if you have had a mental condition and you've been a threat to yourself or others and continue to be, then that could be a problem. So you have to show that it was in the past mental health and there's no likelihood that any harm from that mental health issue is going to occur or repeat. So if you get past those tests and you have a doctor, a civil surgeon, or a panel physician that could corroborate that, then you can. There's also a waiver, a forgiveness for that, if you could show certain things, a Form I-601 waiver. It gets complicated. That's why you should definitely consult a lawyer. First things first, to see if you even have what you need to get status, married to a person, to find work, asylum, whatever you need to get a green card in the first place. And this is one of the things you have to look at, the inadmissibility issue under the public health situation, personal health, mental health. So that's a kind of a long explanation, but it's very important. It does pop up more and more. I'm seeing that in cases. And so we have to do that analysis. We have to get the medical records, talk to the client, the applicant, see what issues they have mental health wise, and if they've ever harmed themselves or will harm themselves. We have to do that whole analysis before making a decision to move forward with the case. So CMT says, any news on Americans receiving stimulus who, I'm an immigration lawyer, I don't handle stimulus, that may be a tax issue or something like that, so I'm not going to get into talking about that. Seem to say I made an immigrant, so yeah, I'm not going to get into the tax stuff. Adam says, if I don't have a job, but I have more than $180,000 in the bank, can I still sponsor my fiance and 2 kids? Well, maybe. First of all, it's discretionary, so they could always, even if you have $1 million, they could deny if they want to, especially under new public charge rule. Now, when you want to do an analysis based on assets, so when you want to bring a family member from overseas to the United States or make them get a green card, you have to show, amongst other things, that the person making that request also has financial ability to support them. And typically that means making a certain amount of money depending on the family size, or if they don't meet that, they have to have a certain amount of assets. Let's make it easy. Let's say money, cash in the bank. So the analysis that has to happen is you have to have either 3 to 5 times the amount that's required typical annual income in assets. So let's say, make it simplify, if you're here, you want to bring your wife here, right now in 2020, the amount is something like $21,000 or something like that. Not exactly, $21,000 that you need to earn every year to be able to support them, for a family of 2. If you want to bring that spouse, a U.S. citizen spouse, a spouse of a U.S. citizen, and you don't have income, you have to multiply that by 3, which is $64,000, and you have to have that much amount in your account on average, which for the last 12 months, which means once you get the bank statements for every month for the last 12 months, they have to average out to more than $63,000 or whatever it is. If you do that, you pass that first test, but it's not guaranteed, especially nowadays. But that 3 times feature is very limited. I think it's only for spouses of U.S. citizens. In other kind of family relationships, it could switch up and be completely different. It could be 5 times. And when you have a family of 4 or 5 times, like 30 or 35 or whatever it would be, it adds up to a lot. Now, 180K is not bad, but have you had that consistently in the last 12 months? Could you get a banker to write that letter? Could you get 12 bank statements? And then it's up to the discretion of the officer, especially if you're doing consular processing. So if you're getting the green card through an embassy, they have huge discretion as to whether they'll accept assets. I have a colleague who had a case where they were bringing someone in, and the foreign people, they had $1 million in cash, and the embassy wouldn't accept it. They said, your son who's sponsoring you is going to college, and a college student is not making money, so we're going to deny it. So she's filing a complaint and pushing the issue on that. But this huge amount of discretion. Discretion means that embassy officers, just officers with the immigration department, could do whatever they want to do, frankly. And it's up to you to try to fix it up, and the courts will side in their way most of the time. So in your kind of case, if you, 180 is probably good. I need to see your bank statements. I need to see a lot of information about you. If you could find a joint sponsor, it's better. If you could find a job, it's even better. If your fiance has a degree, speaks English, has money of her own, and the kids are, and kids in the family have health insurance, don't have any health issues, all that's positive. It's a totality of the circumstances. So it means we have to look at the whole picture of your case to know what's going on. I can't just base it on this 2 sentences. That's a long explanation. As you see, it's even longer if we sit and talk, but it has to be deep analysis because you only, really usually only get one shot at this and one fix up, so you don't want to mess that up. Definitely consult with an immigration lawyer to figure out the situation with the assets. I prefer not doing asset-based affidavit support sponsorship because it's a minefield. I would say try to find a job, but right now the coronavirus, everything's shut down. That's going to be hard in itself, but hopefully that information helped you a little at ADN 2050. All right, Lopez says, can you get your paper faster when you have a DREAM Act? No, DREAM Act, there's no DREAM Act. There's never been a DREAM Act. There's a talk about it, and there's no such thing in factuality of a DREAM Act. These are people that have deferred action for childhood arrivals, or DACA. It has no bearing on getting a green card faster, getting your papers faster. It's completely unrelated. Rihalsa says, we applied for condition removal for a green card, but now Trump banned visa. What will happen now? Well, it's unrelated, Rihal. The things you're saying are unrelated. So what Trump banned is new people getting a green card through the embassies to come to the United States with exception. If you applied for removal of conditions, that means you had a green card, a 2-year temporary green card, a conditional green card, and your filings, you got a permanent 10-year green card. That is completely unrelated to what President Trump has done with the travel ban. So, you should look into what your case is. If you have applied, hopefully you did with an attorney or consult an attorney to check up on your work. But the travel ban is completely unrelated to the removal of conditions. All right, Amhia says, is it a good idea to file a lawsuit against an embassy right now since embassies are closed? Well, that's not how it works. Even though the embassies are closed, the legal departments, everything's open. It's not like you're filing a lawsuit against those people, and if they're not opening the doors, you can't get in. The lawsuit happens against the Department of State, the Secretary of State, happens against the embassy as an entity, not as an entity, but it doesn't work the way you're doing it. If you're filing a lawsuit, talk with a lawyer, and they'll take care of that. It's not something you should be worried about. Now, in one sense, if you file a lawsuit and you win, the embassy's closed, who's going to issue the visa? So if that perspective you're saying you're correct, let's say you win the lawsuit or they want to settle it, but the embassies are closed, how are they going to issue the visa? Well, the reality is when you file a lawsuit, it could take a long time, so you might as well get started now, and that's that. And it's a strategy decision to have to make. I would say that's something, it's such a big deal, filing a lawsuit against the government. They should talk with a lawyer in private and strategize to see what's happening. But let's say you do win with the embassies closed right now, it could be problematic. Or if your case falls within one of the travel ban situations, then it'll be maybe problematic as well. We just have to see in private, have a conversation to see what happens. Rihal says, I came here in 2016 with a fiance visa. Yeah, so Rihal, that doesn't affect you. El says, does signing the voluntary departure affect the case? I mean, yeah. I mean, when you sign voluntary departure, well, it depends. Do you mean, do you mean voluntary departure, meaning you're at a port of entry, like an airport, and you signed voluntary departure and left the United States? That doesn't necessarily affect the case. Depends on what kind of case you have and how the officers want to deal with it and what the basis of the voluntary departure were. So I need to know a lot of facts about that case. I wouldn't be able to answer you here. Jack says, hey, I filed for a green card for marriage, but my interview not scheduled yet, but it's almost 1 year. Why? Because first of all, the USCIS interviews are shut down, but sometimes even if they weren't shut down, it takes more than a year. It's not guaranteed it's going to happen quick. There's a huge bureaucracy. There's a lot of people applying for the same benefit that you're applying for, so it takes a while. I've seen it take 2 years, it could be 3, who knows, go to uscis.gov, look to see the timelines for the field office, the local office that you're working with, and see what their timelines are. If it's longer than the maximum time they've given there, then okay, think about it, talk with your lawyer about it. That's that. Jade Pacell says, any tip where I can get a credit score? Well, to get a credit score, you have to have a credit report. And so you need to figure out if you have like a social security number or you have some sort of, if your name's in the system for credit score, and that would be it. So if you do, you access the credit agencies like TransUnion, for example, try calling them up and requesting a credit score. That would be that. Nasirfo says, marriage-based, I-130 approved, waiting for I-485. I think we had talked yesterday. I don't know your case. You might have to just wait. Jack says, hey, I filed for a green card for marriage. Okay, you already asked that. CMT, no problem. You got it. Nasir said, to get approved since 27 green card interview. Okay, I don't have a SSN. Okay, so Jade Pacell, if you don't have an SSN or credit history, you're not going to get a credit score. What you may be talking about is a credit report, which is related to Form I-944. there's an annual credit report, which means that everyone could request a copy of their credit report once a year from the 3 credit agencies. And you go online to do that. Now, because you don't have a social security number, there's no way for you to go online and check it. But they have this 1-page form that you complete, and you have to find that. You complete that, mail it into the agency, explain you don't have a social security number, explain you need it for immigration purposes, and please give us either the report or evidence or paper that says we don't have a report. And that might be able to satisfy the I-944 requirement. But if you are able to get a credit report from your home country, here I'm assuming you're asking for the credit score, credit report, because you're looking for the I-944 adjustment of status, green card application reasons. You can use that, but get a credit report from your home country as a backup, proof you pay bills, you don't have debts, that kind of stuff. Jax, okay. Kati Shemo, you got a Homestyle says, how is the border U.S.-Canada will reopen? I mean, I think you're asking, when will it reopen? It'll reopen when the administration decides it'll reopen, not me, John Khosravi. Okay, Jax, please stop asking the same question. Jade says, okay, yes, that. All right, you guys got to stop asking the same question over again. I also got to ban you from here. It says, at Eddie 2050, we talked about earlier about using assets for after-day support. At ADN says, I have a job, but it's not worth paying enough due to current health crisis, but thank you so much. Okay, so it's really important, ADN, that you have a job, because let's say you have to make $30,000 a year, you only make $15,000. The amount of assets you have to show then get a little smaller. So you have to make up for that missing amount you're making per year. You multiply that by 3 or 5, and that then becomes the amount that you need. And this is why you have to have analysis with an attorney private, look over your pay stubs, get your employer letter, what kind of work you do, and really analyze that. There's a lot goes into this. You're welcome. Is a credit score really required? For adjustment of status, a credit score is required now. If you don't have it, you don't have it, you say you don't have it, or try to get proof of that. But under the new form I-944, the work for applying for a green card has doubled. Most of my time, like I have cases right now that we would have finished months ago. We're still fighting to get the paperwork because the new I-944 is so complicated, asking for a credit report, proof there is no credit report, proof you pay your bills, or maybe a credit report from the home country, a credit score. That's just one part of it. That's about health insurance. Your health insurance card has to show what day it starts, what day it ends, how much you pay for the premium, breakdown of what benefits are on it. If the benefits are not good in their opinion, it's a problem. It's like a hot mess, and so that's what we have to deal with. You're welcome, Cynthia. I'm glad I could help. Please tell your friends to join out. We're on TikTok. I'm taking questions primarily right now. If you go to the top of my profile page when this is done, or now, click on the Instagram link, click on the YouTube link. I have a lot more videos, information, samples of approvals with timelines on the approval notice that'll help you and give you an idea of what's going on in various jurisdictions. Get to know me and my firm, what my reviews, all this kind of stuff. So join the Instagram page is the best way to keep in touch. And also have a newsletter. If you go to jqqlaw.com/TikTok.html, there'll be a page there where you just put your name, info, and just say yes to the part where it says you want a newsletter. I'll add you to a newsletter so you get updates on my firm and information about the law, what we're doing, and any benefits that we could give to the community. Name Hassan says, how much bank balance do I need to bring my spouse? I applied in 2018. We just talked about that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask other questions and go to other questions, but please review what I talked about earlier in the video. It's going to be up in a day or two on YouTube and on Facebook, and check that out, and on LinkedIn as well for the JQK Law Firm. That's the handle name. But even with that, I need to know more information about your background, how you earn your money, all this kind of stuff to give that kind of case-specific advice. Probably it's $21,000, but I need to talk more with you about that, or review it. Hamid the Beautiful Soul says, hi John, I sent you an email yesterday. I don't know if you got it. No, I don't know. I can't remember if I got it. Generally ask your question here. Sometimes if it's just something that's not within my reach or something, or the question was a little off, I may not answer. I rarely do that, but remind me of what your question was so I could jog my memory. Maybe I responded even. ADN, thanks for sharing. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this page, follow, so you get more stuff like this. TikTok, for 3 months I was hardcore posting those 1-minute clips and stuff. I'm kind of bored of doing that. I like doing live now. Live doesn't help my follower count, but if you could tell friends to keep it going, because I always like to have 20 to 30 people in here to keep the questions going. It brings my enthusiasm out to do this. If it's only 2 people, I'm not going to do this. So I'm glad we got a large group here, constant questions, but please spread the word and keep it going, because I have a lot of fun doing this. So Agfaga says, my wife has a permit renewal but didn't receive her green card yet. What happened if it expires? Okay, so I'm assuming you're saying she had a green card on a 10-year green card. She applied to renew it, but she hasn't got it yet. That's fine. You don't lose your green card if your green card is expired, in the sense that you don't lose your lawful permanent residency if your green card expires. That just means you don't have paperwork to show you have a green card, but if you have a case pending, that's fine. It should be coming in the mail. What you should be looking to see is, why has she not applied for U.S. citizenship yet? And do that analysis, because why spend the money keep renewing a green card? And with the way the laws are under President Trump and the like, do you really want to risk being a green card holder and all the issues that could exist? Why not become a U.S. citizen, have those protections? That's something you should definitely ask your wife to look into. Okay, Juicy says, my friend has an alien number, social security number, and biometrics, but still cannot get verified identity. Why is that? I don't know. I don't know. Can I get verified identity? I mean, if you want to get a driver's license, if that's what you're asking, because you have your friend has a passport, so that is ID right there. But if you mean a driver's license, you need to have a work permit, employment authorization document in most cases. So just having a social security number, alien number doesn't necessarily mean you get a driver's license. You need to get the green card, or you need an EAD, employment authorization document. People know it as a work permit, or you have other sorts of work authorization like an H-1B visa or an L-1 visa. And sometimes they'll give a driver's license to some people, like in California, who don't have status. But just having an alien number and a social security number does not mean you can get a valid American ID. Shakila says, just got the news that Zoom marriage is approved. Does that will work for international? I don't know. I'm not, international means every country in the world. I'm not a lawyer for every other country in the world. I'm a California-based lawyer that helps federal immigration in the United States. In the United States, if the marriage is approved by the jurisdiction that you're in, it's fine. Now, for the U.S., you have to be together when you get married. So if you're doing the Zoom and you're not together, that could be problematic. But we'll see how, this is all new stuff. So we'll see how everything works out in the future. But this is all like kind of crazy new stuff that's happening. It was never really thought, when they made the laws, they weren't thinking about these kind of situations. Puaha says, how can I get my little brother from my country here? I will be a citizen next year. What's the process? Well, if you have a little brother, you file for their green card. Unfortunately, it's going to take 10 to 20 years, so it's not very helpful. Maybe if you file for your parents, get them the green card, and then they file for the child. It's a strategy. I have a separate video on my YouTube page that goes into this. Even on my TikTok page, I have a strategy on this. You got to scroll through it. But the best thing to do is talk with a lawyer to get the, a breakdown of what you need to do. My email is info@jqqlaw.com, info@jqqlaw.com. And you can always go to jqqlaw.com/tiktok.html and reach me there to connect. The profile page for my TikTok has the link for that at the bottom where the email is. All right, user 878 says, my Indian tourist visa expires in August. Can I apply for extraction? I don't know. I'm an American U.S. attorney. I can't really discuss Indian immigration laws. Adrian, thank you. You're welcome. Thank you for sharing the link. Neha Sharma says, thanks for great information. Is USCIS currently working on marriage-based green card filings? It is 100%. I just got an approval yesterday in the mail that it was approved from an interview that happened. I'm getting receipts on these. I'm getting work permits on these. They just won't do the interview yet for many cases, or the biometrics, but they are working on the cases if you submitted it. User 396 says, if I filed an I-130 for my husband, this is a American person, green card holder, U.S. citizen, filing for their spouse in 2018. I am a U.S. citizen, he is in Mexico. Do I have to file I-944 and DS-5540? No. If you filed, started a green card case for your spouse, and your spouse is outside the United States, you do not file Form I-944. That is for people adjusting status applying within the United States. If they're outside, they'll need to complete DS-5540. That's what the State Department says is a public charge form that they're using, which is an easier form than the I-94. But if they're in Mexico and you're dealing with the Ciudad Juarez embassy, they're a hardcore embassy. They're very strict when it comes to the public charge rule. So 100%, if you're dealing with Ciudad Juarez embassy for a green card for a spouse, and you're not making a lot of good money, and even just general, I would say get a lawyer, because you really need to break down your case. They're really hardcore over there, and so you don't really want to mess around. Hi, Immigration Lawyer Momita. Thank you for joining. You guys haven't already, you see a link, Immigration Lawyer Momita. Follow her page too. She's a great immigration attorney in the East Coast, New York, and she's got a rising page. It's going to be dominating everybody. Shakila says, any comments on Zoom marriage? Well, we asked that already, asked and answered. User 396 says, I know they are new. I have all documents accepted, but NBC just waiting for the interview. And yeah, so that's that. You're welcome. Let's see, Mahid. Now we only got like 5 or 6 minutes left, so we get the last kind of questions in. Mahdi Halkop says, I'm a separated DV from my husband. That's possible. I can go for removal condition on a green card interview. Okay, so I think you're saying there's domestic violence and you separated from your husband who got the green card, but you have the temporary 2-year green card. So when you file for removal of conditions, what do? It could work, but that's a complicated situation. You have to file for a waiver, I-751 waiver based on domestic violence, and so you got to do a lot of paperwork and get that together. You 100% need to contact an immigration lawyer, immigration lawyers, pro bono agencies, someone to help you through that, because that's a serious situation you need to prepare for so you don't get denied for no reason. So you definitely consult with an immigration attorney to help you with that. All right, Licheki says, my husband's first visa was denied for entering illegally. I am a U.S. citizen. Will his next visa be approved? No. If he's entered illegally, 100% they're going to deny it. He has to request what's called a waiver and go through a lot of different stuff. You know, I mean, I assume you'd talk with a lawyer in private or hire a consultation or something. That's like a heavy-duty case. Someone broke the rules, you should contact a lawyer and talk with them. That's all I got to say about that. He's been deported for 10 years, so if he's got to wait, he's got a permanent bar. Well, it depends. He's got to get a waiver and do a lot of work. So, you know, you got to talk with an immigration lawyer to help you with that. Let's see. Thank you for sharing the current feed. Thank you for following. Jahat Tefara says, I have 2 DOI. Will that affect me gets green card? Yes, it can. It depends on the facts and which officer you're dealing with. But as of 2 or 3 months ago, the government said they're going to be really strict on people who have more than 1 green card. It's going to be considered bad moral character. So you need to prepare that case well if you're filing for a green card to show that it was an honest mistake, you're a good person, you do good things, and hopefully you didn't hit anybody when you have the DUI and stuff. And just try to deal with it like that. But that's something you need to talk with a lawyer in private about. It's a very serious situation. Thanks for following, Gabe. Okay, 8Dragon88 says, my income is not enough to sponsor my husband and currently unemployed. Either would it affect my case? Yes. I mean, you can't finish the case, so that's 100% going to affect your case. If you have a joint sponsor, it's helpful. But as of the new public charge rule on February 24th, they're much more strict about joint sponsors. So they're going to look into who it is, if they could trust that person's going to pay it back. There's a lot of analysis that has to happen. They're also going to look at your husband's background, education, health, money, all that kind of stuff, debt, credit. And so there's a lot of heavy-duty stuff they're going to look at, and so you have to be prepared for that. All right, so Matt D. Huck says, thank you for letting me know. I already talked to a lawyer, but none is taking a case right now due to Corona. No one. Every lawyer is taking cases right now. So I don't know. I don't know what kind of lawyer you talk to, but every immigration lawyer I know is taking cases. They might not, unfortunately, not want your case, but I'm sorry, but every lawyer is taking cases right now. I'm very picky on cases I get, so I might say I don't handle this case, but all my colleagues are taking cases right now. So definitely just call some people up. All right, so we're about to reach the end. Jetfest, I live in PA. Can you be my lawyer? Well, email me and remind me what your immigration issue is so I can see what's up. Most immigration stuff that I do is done by mail, so the location of where you live, whether in Pennsylvania or here, it doesn't matter. You could be, it's all about me mailing stuff and emailing stuff back and forth. So what I need to do is have an initial paid consultation. My consultations are not free. There is a fee for my consultations. Email me, break down what the issue is that we talked about, or briefly describe it so I see what it is, because the consultation fees goes up and down depending on how much work there is. And then, you know, we take it from there. We schedule a video consultation where I talk with you. And I think you said it's your fiance. We talk with them. I need to look at the children's documents, birth certificates. There's a lot of initial research I need to do, and then we can take it from there. All right, some last questions. Juicy says, I'm holding a temporary visa and divorced. Can I still apply for a permanent visa or self-petition? Yeah, you ask for a waiver of the joint filing of the removal conditions, but you need to heavily document your case and be prepared to talk about it to show that it was not a fake relationship. So I'd recommend in those kind of cases 100% to hire an immigration lawyer to help you with that. You're welcome, Judge Fra. Juicy, you're welcome too. I understand self-petition is the way to go. All right, everybody, so we're about to wrap it up. I want to remind you that you could get this video on JQK Law Firm YouTube page, JK Law Firm LinkedIn page, JK Law Firm Facebook page, and then, you know, follow on TikTok. This is where I do live. Facebook, I do live too, but my questions are really on TikTok. Immigration Lawyer John. And, you know, always just email me at info@jqqlaw.com. Email goes to me. We can see if we could do a consultation is needed, or we could do it, and then we could take things from there. Last question, 8Dragon says, my joint sponsor income is $57,000 for 6 house members. Well, I don't know if I have to do the calculation, look at the charts, but for a family that big, 57,000 there, and then helping you out, I gotta do the calculation, so I can't answer that here. That's a very specific question that needs analysis, so definitely look into that to see if it works, and As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, at the beginning of the live session, a lot of this stuff is discretionary. If they see someone 6-member household, they might not like it, but you know, it is what it is. We gotta get you, you want to get your spouse here, you gotta do what you gotta do, and we'll see what happens. All right, everyone. Again, my email is info@jqqlaw.com. I'm immigration attorney John Khosravi. I'll see you all on Monday, 5 p.m. Pacific, Monday through Friday. As long as we're having fun doing this TikTok Live, Facebook Live, and all that, we're gonna keep it going. But until then, have a good one. God bless and be safe. Bye, everyone.